Hey Alottle family, welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Cami Ewalt. Today I am so excited, you guys. I have never seen a cup like this at all. So as you saw from the thumbnail, we are going to be doing a really awesome American flag bass jumping out of the water kind of thing wrap. But the cool part is we are putting an actual fishing lure on a tumbler. I am so stinking excited. I actually wound up buying 3 sets of fishing lures, trying to get exactly the right one. I wanted something that was long enough to fit my husband's hand this way and that had enough depth that he could reach in and it wouldn't like impede his grip at all. So I did find it. I will definitely put the link to that down in the description. And this was a total experiment for me. So I will kind of keep tabs on the wear and tear of this and see how it holds up for you guys. And I will do updates on my Alottle Tumbler tutorial Facebook page. So definitely check out there. So if you are here for a freaking amazing, unique, super fun fishing lure handle tumbler tutorial, let's get into it.
I sanded and prepped this 20-ounce skinny from Makerflow Craft, and then this image is from Lorraine Day over at Lizargo Shop. She was gracious enough to do a collaboration with me on this, so definitely you guys check out her link in the description. She's got some really amazing images. This is the way I would normally do a temporary tattoo on a tumbler, and I was curious to know if the same would work for a water slide, and I just kept it tight to the cup and used a wet paper towel and kind of smoothed that water all over the backing and just took my time here, and I'll be darned if it didn't work out exactly the same way. As soon as I was sure that everything was completely saturated and I knew it had enough time for that backing to release, then I just stuck my hand inside the cup and slowly, so that I'm not forcing it, I just slowly slid that backing right off the cup. So it's much like I would do if I would soak the image, but this way, as it's dry, I'm able to line it up exactly right where I want it to be. Oh my gosh, you guys, this was so stinking easy. I don't know that I'll ever go back to any other way of doing water slides, but I just slowly pull it down. And even if it buckles like right there, you can just put it back in. And then I just use this silicone squeegee, get out all the bubbles, any wrinkles, make sure it's good to go. And then after it dries completely, I go through with my craft knife. Make sure you have a good and sharp craft knife to cut off any extras. And then I let that dry for about 1 to 2 hours, give or take. And I'm going to come in with polyacrylic glass like I do to seal all my images in vinyl. And kind of a little dab will do you here. So start with a little. You can always add more, but you don't want a whole flood of it going on. But I just make sure that I get every spot of this sealed. That's going to help make sure that your epoxy doesn't repel, you don't get fish eyes, things like that. And then that's super quick to dry, but I just let it dry for an hour to make sure. And then this first coat is about 25 milliliters, give or take. I wanted to make sure that I had enough to cover it, but I didn't necessarily need it bulky or anything. We're not looking for strength here. I just wanted to seal in that image. I love, love, love artistry epoxy because it's so stinking clear and I don't have many bubbles, but I just go over the epoxy with my torch and make sure any bubbles that are there get popped. So then I went ahead and let that spin for 8 hours. And here, my amazing Mr. Alottle is helping me out because, y'all, these fishing lures are strong. They are meant to hold a fish on, let me tell you. And again, I will link these fishing lures down in the description. But I tried this and I really couldn't get it. The lure that is on the cup, I actually had my son help me with, and I wasn't thinking at the time, and I wasn't recording. So I asked my husband if he would help me with this one and do the exact same thing as I did on the first one so that you guys could see 100% every step of this cup. So here he's just cutting off the really sharp barbs of the lure, and I asked him to please leave just a little bit of that curve so it's going to be almost flat against the cup. And make sure you guys are wearing safety glasses when you do this. So then he's taking these, I think they're wire cutters. I should have asked. Sorry, you guys. I will leave a link in the description, but he's not cutting the jump ring here. He actually cut that eye hook that was built into the lure so that the jump ring and lure all came off. And then he took this same cutters, and I think he was trying to cut the jump ring here, but these are so tough. Even the jump rings, not just the lures. Like, you guys make sure that you have somebody that's super strong, or take your time and work at this, because it was a struggle. But he just kind of worked his way through, grabbed his Leatherman and the wire cutters, and kind of pulled the jump ring apart so that he could get the rest of the lure off of this jump ring. And I'll show you why here in just a second. He made a spot big enough to where he'd be able to get that hook through, the treble hook. And I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of a fuss. I didn't record, or I didn't show all of the fuss that we went through to get this apart and get the treble hook off the jump ring. It was many tries. So if you guys are struggling, please know that we did too, okay? And so he just gradually takes his time and gets that treble hook off the jump ring. The reason I wanted that jump ring off the middle is I wanted to move this treble hook up to this front jump ring, because as you saw in the thumbnail, this is actually a handle. So I didn't want it right in the center. I wanted to make sure that there was enough space in between that he was going to be able to fit his hand. So same thing here. He just used a screwdriver and his Leatherman and kind of pried it apart. I was trying to get such a good angle for you guys, but I didn't want to get in his way either so that he didn't have any room to work. But hopefully you guys can see most of what's going on. And he just threaded it onto that jump ring, and then we had a hook on the front and instead of the middle. So then he just went through the same process in the back and clipped off all the barbs of the back treble hook. We're going to leave this one on. That's going to be the back side of the handle, but I didn't want to have to contend with those barbs, and I wanted it again to be more kind of flat to the cup so that when we are adhering it to the cup, we don't have anything sticking back up that's going to stick anybody as they grab the cup. But all of them are pretty close. So when he cut this eye hole off, when he cut that middle jump ring off, it left this spot a little bit rough. So he just took this metal file and just over and over kept going, and he kind of got into the lure a little bit, which didn't matter so much on this lure. But if you have one that's colored or decorated, you want to be super mindful that you don't scuff up the design on that lure. But he just got it as flat as he could without going through the lure. And I'll show you how we're going to take care of that little bit of sharpness here. So this is the actual lure that went on the cup. This is the one my son helped me with. And I just took this UV epoxy that I got from Grateful Glitters along with this UV light. It's a system that goes together. And I just put a little dab on it and kind of tried to let it self-level it. And then I went ahead and flash cured it with a 30-second under this UV light. And through the power of editing, voila, it's done. So then as soon as I got that smooth, I went on and I held it right side up and just grasped it to where the hook would hang straight down. And then I put some of this UV resin right where that jump ring met the lure. What I'm trying to do is anchor it to where it won't move around and it will hold the rest of that lure straight up and down to the cup. I suspect eventually this might be the part that kind of breaks down, which is okay because if it shifts up and down, that's not that big of a deal as long as the part that goes onto the cup is very sturdy and very secure. But I just took my time here and I didn't cut any of this out. I know it's going to be a little repetitive, but I wanted you guys to see like fully all parts I went through to get this on. So I literally just built it up little by little by little with 30-second flash cures in between each little bit that I put on it. So I'm going to just let you guys watch here. It's pretty self-explanatory. Like I said, just a little bit at a time, and in between, flash cure for 30 seconds. Every once in a while, I would do an extra little 30-second flash cure if it needed to be cured a little bit more. And after I got that front hook secured where I wanted it to be, I went ahead and set the lure kind of up on the table so that I knew it would set flat and both hooks would meet exactly the same spot when set on a flat surface. So I'm kind of working on the table so that it stays flat and secure. I hope that makes sense, you guys. And again, just flash curing in between a little bit of buildup as I go along. And then towards the end, I did 2 or 3 60-second cures just to make sure that it was 100% cured all the way through. So then I used some painter's tape and created as straight of a line as I could on the bottom. I'm going to spray this a very similar red that is already on the cup so that it kind of blends in really, really nicely on that bottom. That's why I left just a lip of that image showing because I wanted to make sure that it kind of blended in well. And then to protect the rest of the cup, I'm just going to use this saran wrap or cling wrap, stretch tight, whatever you want to call it, from Costco, and wrap the entire rest of the cup. And then I'm going to go outside in the shop. I'm going to spray it this satin claret wine from Rust-Oleum. And then I come back in and I didn't really wait for it to dry, so just be careful as you're pulling it off that you don't smudge any paint onto your cup. So I just took the saran wrap off and then went ahead and took the tape off right away and moved on with the next step. And insert angels singing here. I'm so excited to be doing a fishing lure handle on this tumbler. I did use this same UV resin from CC DIY that I got from Grateful Glitters, and same as I did to anchor the treble hook and that jump ring earlier on in the video, I just took little bits at a time and went around and did flash cures, like 30-second flash cures. This UV light has a 30-second setting and a 60-second setting if you push it twice. So I started at the back and then just went ahead and went on to the front and got them both pretty secure. Whatever you may get outside of the realm of where you want this UV resin to be, make sure that you wipe it away first before you turn the light on it, because once that UV light hits it, it is stuck. Like I said, same thing as before, just little bits at a time, curing 30-second flash cures in between each one, and then we'll move on to the next step. And again, with my favorite epoxy, Artistry Epoxy, I have my turner off, as you can see, and I just didn't want to like chase my handle around. So I'm just taking a little bit of epoxy on my finger, and at first I was just going to do around the base, and then I thought, well, we'll just kind of build it up all the way to the lure where those end jump rings are that attach the treble hooks to the lure. So I just do several coats of this, and it is a little tricky doing one with a handle like this, but if you just take your time, and I mean, it's really not that hard, you guys. Don't be intimidated. Just take your time and go around and under, through, to grandmother's house we go or something. Anyway, like I said, it's not hard. Just be patient with yourself, and every so often I would just come up on the post of that treble hook to just kind of bring that epoxy and the cup and the treble hook all together as one. I think I wound up doing 4 coats of epoxy total. And so I did 2 flood coats. This is the first of a flood coat, and it wound up being about 20 milliliters. And then I let that spin for 4 hours and went in with a second coat of about 25 milliliters and let that spin for about 8 hours. And I just really wanted the security to have a little bit of extra oomph to hold that handle on. So I did 1 more coat of epoxy at 20 milliliters, let it spin for 4 hours, and then came back in with the second part of a flood coat of about 25 milliliters and let it spin for a couple hours. And so I just smooth it on, and then I always take my finger and kind of run up over that rim, because we have sanded that rim. I know I didn't video it in this, but I show it in a lot of my videos. You sand your rim to make sure that there's no epoxy or anything impeding a solid bond between the epoxy and that rim area. And so I just kind of run my finger up and over the top to make sure that we get a little bit of epoxy up there, and then we clean the very top of the rim off where it's not quite as susceptible to breaking that seal. And again, I just let this then rotate for 8 hours, and I took it off and I left it on my dry rack. And you'll see me here, I'm just wiping away any epoxy that I might have gotten on the lure so it doesn't just cure on the lure, and that we have a nice clean finished product. I think this turned out stinking adorable. I am so excited because, like I said, I've not seen this anywhere before. And I think the combination of this lure and this amazing image from Lizard Go Shop on Etsy just fits so well together. I will be sharing updates about this probably every week for a little while, just to let you guys know how it held up with my husband's rough and tumble work life. And if you guys have any questions or comments or anything like that, leave them in the description. Please share and like and subscribe. Hit the bell notification for upcoming videos. And thank you guys so very much for watching my video. I hope you all have a great day. Bye-bye.